Hi everyone! Did you ever realize how fortunate we are that we all live in a time when grocery stores exist and their shelves are filled with all sorts of food where everyone can easily find a treat to satisfy our cravings? However, only few people are aware of the many secrets that a lot of famous and popular products hide. These secrets aren't necessarily their ingredients, but rather their origin. For example, people often talk about the creation of Franco-American's canned SpaghettiOs, a popular product in the 1980s. Whose idea was it to can a portion of cooked pasta? Or what is it with Coca Cola's alcohol issues healing meat steaks? Or flakes that can make everyone be nicer? Are you ready to find out? Let's get to it. The first one that we'll be talking about is 7-Up, which will be celebrating its 100th anniversary in 9 years. The Howdy Corporation, founded by Charles Leiper Grigg, originally started by producing orange-flavored drinks. But there was already a popular orange soda brand, so he needed to create something new to increase sales. Hence, in 1929, Grigg came up with an idea to create a refreshing drink that tastes like lemon and lime. The resulting product was unique and quickly became popular. However, during that time, it wasn't called 7-Up yet, but rather bib label lithiated lemon lime soda, which was later changed to its current name by 1936. The drink was very popular, not just because of its unique taste, but also because of a secret ingredient called lithium citrate. Currently, this mood stabilizer is being used by doctors to treat manic states bipolar disorder. There was also a popular belief that lithium dissolves uric acid, which causes a lot of diseases. Hence, the earlier version of 7-Up was sort of a medicinal drink. However, in 1948, this ingredient was removed from the beverage because its use was banned in the US. Another interesting story is the invention of graham crackers. These crackers are a very delicious snack, which can be used to make pie crust, consumed in its original form, or as s'mores with chocolate and marshmallows. Either way, it's a sweet, yet not so healthy treat. However, it used to be very different when it was created. The Reverend Sylvester Graham is the reason why these crackers were created. He was famous for religiously following strict limits in his diet. Graham, who lived in the early 19th century, believed that in order to stay healthy, people must stop enjoying their food. He only ate vegetarian food, which consisted mainly of bread made from coarse ground flour. As an active preacher, Graham gained a lot of support from others, and it was because of these people that graham flour and then graham crackers were invented. Even though Graham himself did not make these crackers and had nothing to do with their production, this delicious treat still features his name. Since the beginning of mass production in 1898, the recipe was changed for what we believe is for the better. The most popular alcoholic drink, Coca-Cola, has more secrets than you think. It was widely believed that this sweet beverage was created on May 8, 1996. This is true if we're talking about the classic version of the drink. Actually, this drink started earlier, around 1863. During that time, the French alchemist Angelo Mariani developed a recipe for coca wine, which is an alcoholic beverage made from coca leaves. This drink was very popular even among famous people such as Jules Verne, Alexandre Dumas, and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. John Stiff Pemberton, a pharmacist who lived in America, was involved in the Civil War where he developed a morphine addiction. In an attempt to find a cure, he stumbled upon the information about a Coke wine. Pemberton had the idea of recreating this beverage, and that's how Pemberton's French wine Coca appeared. The product was sold as a cure for a lot of diseases, including nervous disorders, physical and mental exhaustion, constipation, headaches, nervous breakdowns, impotence, and of course, morphine addiction. The recipe of his miraculous drink was later modified. The temperaments movements in 1886 led to the creation of a non-alcoholic version. Yet, this refreshing beverage passed through a lot of modifications before it became the drink we all know and love. Next, we have cornflakes. Weirdly enough, this simple breakfast staple is related to Reverend Graham, the one mentioned earlier. Cornflakes were distributed under the brand Kellogg's Cornflakes and were sold as passive Graham's diets. It was believed that the breakfast food had the ability to reduce indigestion and even correct bad behavior. It started back in the late 19th century when Graham's vegetarian movement was gaining popularity over the country, and his followers were actively experimenting with different kinds of grains. The key idea was to create new, more affordable foods aligned with the Reverend's commandments. Surprisingly, cornflakes weren't created from trial and error. rather because of an accident back on May 31, 1895. John Harvey Kellogg and his younger brother Will Keith Kellogg were working with wheats. The brothers boiled the grains and left them to cool. They went to a health resort where they worked as caretakers. Once they returned, they discovered that these wheats had turned hard. Because the brothers are a little short on money, they didn't throw it out. Instead, they rolled it out, hoping to create some kind of dope sheet. But, to their surprise, it resulted in some delicate flakes. The Kellogg brothers toasted them and fed them to their patients. Soon enough, the product gained popularity in the sanitarium. After experimenting with other grains, the brothers found out that corn was the best option. In 1907, the product was released to the general public. In order to gain appeal, the flakes were sweetened, and that's how the popular breakfast meal was created. The third soda on our list is Dr. Pepper. It seems that a lot of sodas weren't originally created as refreshments. Dr. Pepper appeared almost the same time as Coca Cola. The main character of this creation story is also a pharmacist. Charles Alderton, a resident of Waco, Texas, invented the drink in 1885 and sold it in pharmacies as a medicine. He made some serious medical claims in his first advertisements, wherein he insisted that Dr. Pepper could improve digestion and give people more energy, making them more active. It sounded like an isotonic drink, but none of his claims were true. But since the drink was made up of a lot of sugar, people did feel a slight rush of energy. Next is Salisbury Steak. Whenever you see a Salisbury steak at your local grocery store, you should know that it was once widely considered as a cure for many diseases. This dish was believed to be created by the American physician James Salisbury. He worked as a military doctor during the U.S. Civil War, wherein he discovered that a lot of his soldiers were suffering from diarrhea, which can only be cured by a special diet of only coffee and lean chopped beefsteak. Later on, he became fond of healthy foods and diets. His idea of healthy foods was unusual, however. Salisbury believed that the reason we have fangs is because we are predators. He also believed that starchy foods and vegetables caused most diseases. This led to the creation of Salisbury steaks, which are made of minced beef, seasoned with onions and spices. The steak is either roasted or boiled and served with brown sauce. Since 1888, Salisbury has actively promoted this dish as a way to have a long, healthy life. He recommends eating the steak 3 times a day along with lots of water to cleanse the digestive system. Now let's look at Gugu clusters. During the Great Depression in 1929, the stock market collapsed, which led to an economic crisis wherein one bad event happened after another. This began to affect companies and ordinary people. The unemployment rate increased from 3% to 25%. Another struggle was a drought that destroyed a lot of crops across the country. People who were still employed were considered lucky, but even they didn't have enough to buy food. Gugu clusters became an important part during this time in history. These cookies cost only a nickel, and they were promoted as a nutritious, high-calorie lunch since the working class was constantly undernourished. These treats were very important because they were cheap, nutritious, and delicious. Next on our list is chewing gum. Up until the 1760s, people used different resins as gum, but let's talk about the chewing gum we all consume today. It began with the Mexican general Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, when he fled to New York along with a large number of chicle. Chicle is a natural gum extracted from Mesoamerican trees. The general sold the chicle to Thomas Adams, a New York inventor. He tried to use it as a substitute for rubber, but his experiments failed. However, he remembered that the general used to chew chicle. Hence, he tried to make a chewing gum of it. The first batch of his chewing gum entered the stores in 1871, and it was quickly sold out. Adams continued to manufacture the gum and tried to add new flavors. The chewing gum gradually gained popularity all over the world.
Now it's time to get to the nitty-gritty of what you really want to see.
Next up is brandy. The history of this strong alcoholic drink is closely related to the history of wine. In the 17th century, merchants didn't transport wine using the most common method. Before transportation, excess water was removed from the drink, which decreases its volume. This made it easier to transport and, consequently, trade taxes for this were reduced. To return the wine to its original state, the same amount of water needs to be added. This was done for a long time until an accident happened. Someone had tasted the concentrated wine, and that person realized that it tasted much better after it was stored in a wooden barrel. This basically gave birth to brandy. Since then, grape wine was distilled not for transportation, but rather to produce this drink. Another part of brandy's history is that it was first produced in France back in 1313, wherein it was used exclusively as a cure. Hence, doctors called it the water of life.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them on your phone. Make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Lastly, we have cheese puffs. Apparently, these were invented by accident. Its creation began at an animal feed factory in the 1930s. Industrial machines were used to ground and flake corn kernels. One day, Edward Wilson noticed something unusual as the waste corn powder blew up from the heat, which created a puff. After making some experiments, he finally developed a snack which was easy enough because he just needed to add spices.
Last but not least, be a pal and share this video, and we will be eternally grateful. And who knows, maybe we'll send you a freebie one of these days just for helping us out.